First, let me start off by saying that this that you see on your screen should shock nor surprise anyone, especially those who watch my videos or Professor Black Truth or Jason Black, aka the Black Authority, Tariq Nasheed, Harvey, Lisa Cabrera, True Royal Family, and a host of other people that make the kind of content that we do. Because we have all, some more than others, have been affected by what you're looking at right now on your screen. And we know and have called this out many, many times, but many people never believed us and thought it was all in our head or thought it was that it affected everybody. While everyone can be affected by what they'll deem as hate speech, Black people, ADOS, gets affected by it even more harshly. Professor Black Truth recently, on a video that he just did, it literally got taken down, or I guess you can say it was about to be removed by YouTube. But when the people actually went and tweeted the YouTube Twitter page and the YouTube creator page, they reinstated the video because I think they were giving him 7 days to remove it. And it was the one he did about those four, well, as I called them, the Coontastic Four. If you go into this video and look at the comment, that's what I said there in the comment section, in them getting their show on CNN. But then, of course, he had lost his other channel, the one that literally was probably, I think, his highest grossing one as far as subscribers go. And then, with myself, I've been through 4 YouTube channels. This is like the fourth one right here. I almost lost this one a couple years, almost as soon as I started it. If I didn't make it private, this channel wouldn't exist. And then, with Tariq and everything like that, his was as far as he got banned from going to an entire country before he left this one. And Jason Black, he's had his issues as well. Harvey as well. And plenty of others. Lisa Cabrera, she almost lost her channel until she actually took YouTube to court and won her case and got it reinstated. And I don't think she's had any issues since then. Willie D is another one. He had to do the same thing. So they literally have us under a heavy watchful key, like not key, but a heavy watchful eye. And what you see right here, it says the algorithms that detect hate speech online are biased against Black people. And a lot of times we're not even doing hate speech. That's why it kills me when they say that. As a matter of fact, I got a warning, and I wasn't going to tell anybody about this because I was going to just leave it alone. But I got a warning. I guess you can say a warning strike. I'm appealing it now, but I haven't heard back from him. Hopefully that's a good thing. And it was a couple days ago from a video I did months ago when I was talking about it was a bestiality type video. And I know why they did it is because of the way I titled the video. But they said it was hate speech. They automatically deemed it as hate speech. Every time I had ever got a strike from YouTube, it was always deemed from something of quote unquote hate speech, but they'll never tell you where in the video was hate speech. But I was talking about this guy and him having a relationship with one of his animals or an animal. I'm not going to say which one because that's besides the point. The act of it is just disgusting. But because of the way I titled the video, and the title of the video didn't even have the word bestiality in it. And they basically removed the video and gave me like a warning attached to it. But they deemed it as hate speech. Nowhere in the video did I say anything that would be qualified for hate speech. Yet you have these palm-colored individuals that can come on here and make all these threats against other groups of people, especially us. And their stuff not only stays up, but it remains to be monetized. But they'll demonetize our stuff in a heartbeat. I don't know if you know it, but now it's gotten to the point where you have to go in there and request a monetization for certain videos. Now, almost every video, well, for me, I know I have to. Almost every time I upload a video, even if it is advertiser friendly, I have to request it to be monetized. And a couple of my videos that were like those melanated excellent videos, some of those never even got monetized. And little do y'all know, and I know I'm kind of going on in a little like not off topic, but it still is on topic. In case y'all didn't know, if YouTube does not monetize a video, they don't demonetize it entirely. What they'll do is they'll run ads in the background that you probably will not see. And those ads that you see will not go to the contributor, which will be myself. They'll go to YouTube. They'll go to Google. So they'll be getting paid on the back end regardless. So they're literally making money hand over fist. They'll make money whether you're going to get it, whether I would get it, or if I don't get it. So when it says limited ads or none ran on this video, those limited ads that are ran will not go to me. They'll go to the advertiser and to Google. So literally they'll be making money off of you and you won't receive a dime. I'm just letting people out there know, just in case you do not make any kind of content. And Lisa and True Royal Family and anyone else who monetizes their videos can back me up on that. But let me go ahead and get into this article. It says a new study shows that leading AI models are 1.5 times more likely to flag tweets written by African Americans as offensive. Sorry about that. Okay, let's get back into it. It says platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter are banking on developing artificial intelligence technology to help stop the spread of hateful speech on their networks. The idea is that complex algorithms that use natural language processing will flag racist or violent speech faster and better than human beings possibly can. See, they basically what they did was they fixed the algorithm to seemingly go after everybody, but literally have its crosshairs squarely on us. And like I said, we are very tamed in our language, at least, the people that I listen to are very tamed in our language compared to our palm colored counterparts who go balls deep in what they're saying, and they don't even track them or they don't keep their eye on them. It says doing this effectively is more urgent than ever in light of recent mass shootings and violence linked to hate speech online. Well, look at who's doing all the mass shootings. Most of the hate speech online is coming from them too. I just did a couple videos, a video about that, what's his name? That Justin Olsen, who put online that he wanted to kill federal agents and had all this ammunition and these weapons in his home that was not owned by him. I think those were his dad's weapons. And then mass shootings, for the most part, are committed by the people who are putting these algorithms in place. But two new studies show that AI trained to identify hate speech may actually end up amplifying racial bias. In one study, researchers found that leading AI models for processing hate speech were 1.5 more times likely to flag tweets as offensive or hateful when they were written by African Americans, and 2.2 times more likely to flag tweets written in African American English, which is commonly spoken by Black people in the U.S. Now look at that part right there. It says written in African American English. It didn't just say English or American English. It said African American English. Basically, they've literally given us, or basically drew a line in the sand saying this is how we speak versus this is how everyone else speaks. This also shows that they are literally, and this is of no surprise to anyone either, studying us all the way down to our speech patterns. Yet you have many of them that are trying to mimic that. Like I'll never forget when they said they did a study on Black Twitter. I kid you not. Many of you remember that. They did an actual study on Black Twitter to study our patterns and everything like that. I would not be surprised if this right here that I'm reading came partially from that. I remember the time I had put a tweet on Twitter talking about the Saltine Queen and how I compared her to being a hood rat. And in seconds, I get an email from Twitter saying that I've been banned for 15 hours, or was it 12 hours? Because they said it was hate speech. Insulting, yes, but I wouldn't even remotely qualify that as hate speech, because I nowhere in the tweet said I hated her or that I wished ill will toward her. I just said she was a hood rat. It says another study found similar widespread evidence of racial bias against black speech in 5 widely used academic data sets for studying hate speech that totaled around 155,800 Twitter posts. That's a lot of posts when you think about it. It says this is in large part because what is considered offensive depends on social context. Terms that are slurs when used in some settings like the N-word or queer may not be in others, but algorithms and content moderators who grade the test data that teaches the algorithms how to do their job don't usually know the context of the comments they are reviewing. Basically saying they put a lot of palm-colored individuals in these positions who don't know how we operate, and then when they see something what they feel is slightly offensive, then they have to attack it. Yet they'll let something they do understand bypass and nothing happens. They understand when a palm-colored person puts up something about wanting to do something to somebody or cause harm to someone or someone's. But when we're conversing with each other and we're not talking about harming anybody, then they don't get it, and they got to find a way to remove it. Both papers presented at a recent prestigious annual conference for linguistics show how natural language processing AI, which is often proposed as a tool to objectively identify offensive language, can amplify the same biases than human beings have. They also prove how the test data that feeds these algorithms have baked in bias from the start. No one knows for sure if the content moderation systems that Facebook, Twitter, and Google use show exactly the same biases in these studies. The technologies these companies use to moderate content is proprietary. But the tech giants often turn to academics for guidance on how to better enforce standards around hate speech. So if top researchers are finding flaws in widely used academic data sets, that presents a significant problem for the tech industry at large. Anecdotally, activists have for some time accused platforms like Facebook of policing the speech of Black Americans more strictly than that of white Americans. In one notable case reported on by Reveal, a Black woman was banned from Facebook for posting the same Dear White People note that many of her white friends posted without suffering any consequences. But these experiments provide quantitative data to suggest that these actions are not isolated incidents, but are instead emblematic of a wider issue in how offensive content is policed on social media. Martin Sapp, a PhD student in computer science and engineering, and his colleagues at the University of Washington set out to study what's flagged as offensive on Twitter because of the important political conversations that happen on a platform. They first gathered more than 100,000 tweets used in 2 widely cited academic data sets. These tweets had been hand flagged by human beings with labels such as being hate speech, offensive, and abusive. The results were astounding. Tweets written by self-identified African-American users were on average found to be 1.5 times more likely to be flagged as offensive. Researchers then applied this test data into a larger algorithmic model run, used natural language processing on 56 million tweets, and saw these biases were only further reinforced. Taking their research a step further, Sapp and his colleagues decided to do something interesting. They primed workers labeling the same data to think that their user dialect and race were deciding whether the tweet was offensive or not. Their results showed that when moderators knew about the person tweeting, they were significantly less likely to label that tweet as potentially offensive. At the aggregate level, racial bias against tweets associated with Black speech decreased by 11%. So what does that tell you? That they literally have put these machines in place to go after our speech. But when they did it by hand, with human beings, they were not flagged or they were not removed. Like I said, they tricked those machines or they not tricked them, but they programmed those machines to operate a certain way. And see, if they can focus solely on us, then they can bypass everybody else. The academic and tech sector are pushing ahead with saying, let's create automated tools of hate detection, but we need to be more mindful of minority group language that could be considered bad by outside members. Sapp study also tested the bias in these data sets as applied to an open source hate speech detecting tool for developers that's run by Jigsaw, a subsidiary of Alphabet, Google's parent company. The open source tool called Perspective API is used by news organizations such as the New York Times to help moderate comments online. It's the publicly available version of an underlying technology that used throughout Google for its own products as well. Researchers found that data run through Perspective API showed a significant bias against African American speech, labeling those tweets as toxic more often. There are a lot of different biases that can arrive in machine learning models, Jigsaw COO Dan Kaiserling told Recode, acknowledging that Perspective API's model or any hate speech detecting model isn't perfect. We welcome more research in this field. He also said that his team is in touch with the authors of the report and that the company is constantly refining its model to be more fair. But the problem is bigger than any one model or data set. Thomas Davidson, a researcher at Cornell University, ran a study very similar to SAP's. Davidson and his colleagues tested racial biases by training a model with data sets, including the ones that SAP used, plus 3 more. Researchers also found substantial racial bias against African Americans in all of the data sets that were tested. What we're drawing attention to is the quality of data coming into these models. You can have the most sophisticated neutral network model, but the data is biased because humans are deciding what's hate speech and what's not. Both researchers offered the same warning. Automated systems for flagging hateful speech may be turning out flawed results, but there's also no specific consensus on what to do about it. The researchers and others have advocated for giving moderators more social context about the people writing tweets, but that can prove tricky. When Facebook's content moderation guidelines are already under scrutiny, would giving moderators more context open the door for more criticism, particularly from conservatives? And when content moderators at Facebook and other companies are reportedly working under grueling conditions and are pressured to rate content as offensive or not, making more nuanced decisions make a difficult job even harder. Nevertheless, these studies crack open the fantasy that AI will be able to rescue tech companies from making the complex decision needed to police hateful speech on these platforms. Their algorithms may seem like an easy solution to a complex problem, but they can have unintended consequences. So it all goes back to who is running these programs. Palm Colored. They literally set it up to deem what is hate speech and what is not. Like I said, me doing that video talking about bestiality just because of the title got I guess you could say it got flagged because they deemed it as hate speech. And nowhere in the video did it say that. They only flagged it that way because of how it was titled, and they automatically assumed that that's what it was. That's why I'm very strategic when it comes to those type of videos. Like, I have to make sure not to put the word bestiality in it. And now I realize I have to reword it even more. But this, like I said, this whole thing that I just read to you does not surprise me in the least bit. It's a shame that it took a study for them to finally realize what that, because we've been talking about this for years. But, you know, whenever we say something like that, we have to be looked at like we got two heads. And, you know, with the ultimate side, like, what are they talking about is all in their head. They're not making any sense. But now they have studies to back up what we've been saying for years, ever since, you know, we were able to really get on social media and really do commentaries like these. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.